part 2. I told you that was going to happen. 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. If you're wondering what's that happened, my phone overheated. It's super hot today, and the video always heats these phones up. I was doing an overview. There's a couple things I've explained in this video, so I would take a look at part 1 if you're wondering what the difference between 87 and 95 YJ tubs are. Not a lot, but there's a little bit. Explains that in the very beginning. What the difference between a 9706 TJ and an LJ tub. There's 9701, 02 on its own, and 03 to 06. And again, you can follow up or watch that video to see those details. And I'm also doing a yard overview on what we have in stock. Today I've listed 3 grade A tubs for YJs. And as I've went down and again in part 1 of this video, those tubs were listed on their own. I also talk about what pre-dismantle means to us and what savings that can mean for you. So in YJ world, it doesn't happen all that often because they're getting so hard to get. I'm getting YJ tubs from different sources now versus buying the whole Jeep like I used to. I still buy YJs and I have several of them, but they all have a degree of damage, or for the most part, not all of them, but some of them do. So keep that in mind and definitely take a look at that other video. Sometimes a little bit boring, I know. I'm not the most exciting speaker, but it's informative if you're getting into a YJ, a TJ, an LJ, CJ, on the differences on the tubs and what it takes to do a swap. I mean, it doesn't go into that video doesn't go into a lot of detail, but you can watch the specific tub videos that I've listed for the past 18 years, frames as well, and you'll see a general theme on differences. And not necessarily that I point that out, but just as you're watching it, you'll start picking that stuff up. And if you have any weird questions, I have a whole brain of useless knowledge, so that's useful to the right guy or girl. But nonetheless, let me go back to these real quick because this is where my phone cut off. So I was wrapping up with these JK ones. Out of all these ones I just went through, there were only a handful of YJ tubs, and almost all of them were low grade. There were maybe 2 of them. So out of the 10 TJ tubs, I have 2 in this area that are very low quality YJ tubs. So if you're looking for a nice YJ tub, take a look at our individual videos that we put up. It is July 28th today, 2023, and we'll go from there. This is another one here. This is a perfect example of a guy who insisted on shipping me his Jeep from Ohio, which I told we don't buy Jeeps from Ohio, but he a really nice guy, and you know, we gave him a couple $100. I know he spent more than that, but he wanted to see it go to a good home. And I'm not saying this was Jeep. I mean, this Jeep has been like it is for years. I'm not going to go into too many details on this one, but I was able to get a harness out of it. This is the 92 to 95 harnesses. They're very rare for 6-cylinder. We harvested the computer. We got what we could out of it, but this is how the Jeep sat for a long time. There's really nothing else to pull in the thing. Eventually, it'll get crushed. And that's what people, I mean, look how bad this thing is. Absolutely. This is a perfect example of what you're not wanting to find for any price out there. Okay. And I think the money we gave him for this was actually store credit. So just because he did make a huge effort. I couldn't believe when it showed up on our door or our gate out here. But nonetheless, you know, he was trying to do a good deed, and we appreciate that. That's a damaged TJ tub that we use for cutting, and there's still good parts still left on it, but that tub is done. That's a 72 to 75, very low grade. That's probably a cutter tub right there. We'll get a cowl out of it, a couple other things. That's normal for most tubs in CJ world. I have some clean one of those 72 to 75s. People have been waiting for those tubs for almost 2 years, and I got 2 of them in that are pretty nice. And then this is a low quality CJ7 tub as well that I'm sure will sell, because our low quality is somebody's higher quality in the Midwest. But that's a pretty rough tub. It would take a lot to get that one back on the road. So again, we get what we can out of them, and then they just end up sitting until scrap time. So, and we do a couple diesels here and there. I'm going to those. These are all cutter tubs that had some sort of damage on them. We're both rust free, but significant damage. And then here's this beautiful tub. This is a 0506, 03 to 06 tub, but it came off a late, had 100,000 miles. It's impact orange. It's an absolutely beautiful tub. There's not a lick of damage on it, top or bottom. And right at the moment, which I never ever do, I've left the black dash in it, although it was covered. I got to get it covered back up so it doesn't fade. But we normally don't do them like that. It's not listed right now, but there's a couple of videos, and we will sell the dash out of it. But it'd be ideal for somebody that's got an 0506, and it doesn't really matter except for the harness in it. That's changed from 03, 04 uses a slightly different harness. So, but the dash is the same, heater box is the same, just the harness has changed on them. So, but if you had those the late year, you got in an accident or you're dealing with rust, and you didn't want to deal with swapping a dash over or column, and you wanted it like this, the tailgate and some of the stuff on it, you're gonna pay what all that stuff costs minus a little bit for labor. We didn't have to pull it, but that would be an ideal way to save you a little time. Again, not something we do very often, and I almost guarantee that won't sell that way. Somebody will probably call and want a tailgate and want a dash, and we'll just start pulling it slowly. But if somebody does happen to call here in the next few weeks, while it's not listed, that one is available. These are the 3 YJ grade A I just put up, and there's videos today of those. Beautiful. That's a Cherokee. It's a hunk of crap. That one's really bad. This one's not too bad, but still got some good parts on it. It's camouflage. Just got a Comanche in. These is not a Comanche video. I don't even want to go into those right now. I'm just trying to illustrate tubs and frames a little bit. These is a stack of YJ frames. Look at this, okay? Something to note on these. Right now I had no 6-cylinder frames up until last week. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least A's, maybe a couple B's, 6, and I think I have 2 more up front. Those will go very quickly. 4-cylinder frames don't go nearly as quickly on a YJ. Oh, I'm getting a warning. So my phone's heating up. So, and then this one's got goofy motor mounts. So if you don't even care about what motor was in it, that one would be the ideal one to go with. It's a nice clean frame other than that. YJ tub here, probably a B grade without looking too much into this one. It's hard to see because the liners are in it, and there's got a bunch of stuff still in the tub. And it's got some goofy paint on it, so a little bit of prep work there, but that should be a good tub and save somebody a little bit. Plus the pre-dismantle price will apply to this one because it's fairly complete still. So don't discount that one. And this one is going to be a later one. Okay, you got the wide pegs for the battery tray. All right, so and the fuel, I can tell by that, and that injector harness sitting in there. So 87, 95, but keep in mind there is a slight difference. So 91 to 95 is the difference, and it's really small, but it's that battery tray, and again I talked a little bit about that. Okay, this one here is going to be a low B, and it's got damage here. Actually, I thought this was more in this box area. I don't think it is. I think it's, yeah, it's actually behind that. So, or not in that area. So that shouldn't be too hard to pull. That'll save some people some money. This is a early one. You got the raised lettering there. So 87 to 90. That corner is done. It can be fixed, but it would probably be a corner replacement. It's got damage all down it. This one's done. Same thing. So this one, as long as it checks out rust-free, this will probably be a C actually tub with the kind of damage, because it's also got damage here, which I believe this is the boxed in area. So not a bad tub still for if it does check out to be rust-free, and you'll save significantly. I'm going to give you a price, which I never ever do on my videos because it changes so much from the seasons, time of the year. Summers being a little bit less than winters. Occasionally, this depends on supply and demand on YJ tubs, but and then also as we go through it, you know, people call me 10 years later and they go, I want that tub for that price. That's why I stopped doing it, because tubs 10 years ago were a lot cheaper than they are right now. These have gotten extremely hard to get. So, but for all sake purposes at the time now, and this will change on this tub if it's not dismantled. So pre-dismantled price and seasonal price right now until October of 2023 this year. So a few months, this tub will sell for $15. Okay, and that's going to be hard to find a $1,500 rust-free tub. Now, if we get into it and we find rust in this tub, which obviously I'm not going to be able to see until we get into it, and you've put a deposit on it, we'll get you into a different tub that's the same price, or I'll refund that deposit. Okay, so there's no risk there involved, but keep in mind, but this thing is, it is beat, so I don't want you to get your hopes up that you're going to get into a tub that cheap and think that there's not going to be any work required, because there's definitely going to be work required in this tub. This tub is not even available. There's not even pieces we can cut on it. I pride ourselves in not buying wrecks. I'll tell you what happened with this one. This is a local customer. It's a great local customer. He's a good dude. He's a farmer here. His son is who rolled this Jeep, and he lived. Thank God he lived. And if it hadn't been brought to me, and it hadn't been a later year, because this is a 94 probably, I'd say 93, 94, I would not even, there's no way I would have transported this thing. It's been and broken in almost every panel possible, but we got it to fire up. Super low miles. Engine ran fantastic. It's going to have an AX15 in it. Transfer case, tilt steering column, and the dash itself, the panels, they look clean. The heater, those are hard. So there was good parts on it for us to get off of it. It's got to have an engine harness in it, right? Those are hard to get for these. And ECM, if it hasn't already been pulled, which I bet it has, because these sell so freaking quick. Okay, so that's what we got, and we got a winch out of it. But surprisingly, the only thing that's not terrible is that fender. It's pretty bad, so it's got a good ding on the front, but there's no rust. And surprisingly, it's straight. Oh, the ECM is still in this guy. It is a 90, 10 of 2, so it's a 93. And the driver door is somewhat straight, but that's it. Everything else is smashed. So we don't, that's very untypical, but again, good dude, local guy, and it came here and it was cheap, and we got parts that we do need out of it. Okay, absolutely demolished CJ7 tub. I don't even think the frame's good underneath that one. And again, that's why people are looking for those. They're super hard to find. Still some good parts left on that guy, but not much. YJ here, this is probably a B tub, maybe an A. We'll probably lock it in as a B on price-wise, and be in the probably 22-ish to 25, I would imagine. There is this one, the forks got into this one at some point, and I think it was before we got it. You can see right here. So this is a sludge hammer, which you pop this back down with, but there will be some crinkles when you do that, so keep that in mind. That's all going to be covered up if you put carpet or liner in it, but and that's part of the reason. So yeah, probably 2-ish. And again, we'll lock that down if somebody does do a pre-dismantle on this guy. And it is a early one, I believe. Yeah, so it had the sticker. That would have been the raised lettering there. And real quick, this one might show us if it's still got the battery tray in it, which I bet it does. And just in case I lose you know what? It's so damaged I can't even open it. Yeah, I can still see it here though. Okay, see how that battery tray is this way versus the other one sat against it? The two posts are closer together versus the ones that are spread out. Okay, so that's the only difference really on those tubs. But something you should keep in mind. So 87 to 90, and that's got a little ripple there. And again, if somebody's interested, we'll do when we do pre-dismantle videos or cells, you still get a video of it. And of that only, and I'll do a better job of going through it. This is just an overview of what we got. 97 to 02 6-cylinder frame. It is a nice clean frame. I've actually scoped this thing. Beautiful. It's super, got dirt all over it, but you can tell this thing was spent most of its life in the desert wheeling. But and the tub looks good too. Straight, clean tub. This one I bought both of those actually at the same time from another yard who messes with Jeeps occasionally, but you can just tell the difference when somebody else parts these things out from when we part them out. You know, this has got cut plugs on it. We don't do any of that stuff. So this is going to be a nice clean tub here, probably a B plus ish. So 2,500 pretty dismantle on this guy. It's almost dismantled. We see a lot of this one already, but just in case there's no rust on it, I've looked through this one. I might even have this one videoed. A little bit of damage at the rear here, but otherwise it's another black tub. It is the later one. So the 91 to 95, see, there's your difference on those two there. Okay, and then this is probably going to be a lower one, I would imagine. It's a full lined one. It's got rocker plates on it, diamond plate, which typically hides rust. Who knows when we get into it. This one's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2, depending on how clean it checks out. It's got a whole engine. I mean, there's so much filler in this, it actually might not even be that nice. It's hard to say on that one. That one's kind of a more of a, I'm going to put that one until we're out of everything, and then we'll start dismantling that guy. And this guy, this is a nice clean YJ, another A for another late one, another black. So if you need a black one, or want a black one, colors don't really matter, but people do like them if they're doing the same color. It's a little bit easier. Or black or white is easier if you're not going to want to paint the inside. This is a beautiful tub. This is probably going to be pre-dismantle at 3, and if it gets fully dismantled, will probably be at 35 on this guy. And I've seen this tub. I actually have another video of this one as well. And I've had this one for a few weeks, but again, they're not listed. So if they don't get listed, we only sell them when people call. Here in a few months, by October, all of our tubs will be fully listed and up and going again for what we have left. So that's it. The other few I have is more of our crawler crowd, which is like this YJ here. If anything, anybody can use it. We'll probably cut panels on it. If not, the floors are solid. It was rust free. It's absolutely terrible when I see this. I hate it because this was probably a beautiful tub at one time, but not anymore. And yeah, that's it. So a lot of stuff's just come in. We got several things more coming in. Just real quick here. Okay, back half of a frame for a TJ. Not something I cut very often, but it is a beautiful rust-free frame. This came from a local kid that was actually working for me, and that was actually my old Jeep, and he clobbered the front end, so it smashed front end enough, but the back was beautiful, so we went ahead and took that from him and helped him out with doing a frame swap. Okay, 03 to 06 TJ 4-cylinder frame on the top of here. So this is the 2.4, and nice, beautiful. I have 2 of these right now that are grade A. So if you need any of those, let me know. And then we have a 6-cylinder frame on the bottom there. That should be a 97 to 02, but I'll have to verify that. Actually, it is, and I'll show you a quick thing here. One more tall tale thing. Okay, see the distance? This is your steering gearbox where it goes. But look at the bottom lip of your channel here, okay? In here, and just by guesstimate, I'm saying probably ½ inch, maybe not even that. And then look at this one here. Okay, this is probably 1 inch. And the reason they did that is because in the later 03 to 06 models, they went to a Mercedes style gearbox, which is a short little stubby gearbox, versus the old Borg Warner, okay, which is a longer gearbox. And because of that, they had to change the pitch of them slightly to modify the intermediate shafts that go up to your firewall. So if you're gonna do a lot of times, we don't have 9702 frames. Those are the rarest ones that exist in the world. And anybody that sells them, including Throttle Down out there, is back ordered, made to build, usually minimally 6 months on that frame. This frame has not been listed, has not been cleaned up. Only thing that's been done to it is scoped it. We don't do that before we buy them, and then we measure them. Otherwise, it is, and the reason I say that, because that frame has a shelf life of about 10 minutes once they get posted. Or people, and it may, just this video alone, probably sell that frame. So if you're looking for a 9702 6-cylinder frame or 4-cylinder, I have a couple 4-cylinders right now, not many, but few more than 6s. That's your ticket right there. If you 03 to 06 frame, okay, which I was getting in more often for a while. Here's a couple more TJ frames here, and 03 to 06, 97 to 02, 4-cylinder. Okay, and the difference on a 6 and a 4 is a spacing from your motor mount to your shock tower. Let me see if I can show you real quick, since this is a part 2 of a comparison video anyway. Okay, look at the 6-cylinder ones. They're almost on top of your coil spring and shock towers here, both sides. They're a little offset, that's normal, both sides, even 2.4s. But look at the distance on a 2.4. 2.4s are differently spaced than a 2.5 in the 9702s. Okay, so on this frames, and these are all beautiful clean frames, we have 103 to 06 2.4. This is the other one. It says 03 2.4 right there, okay? And then the rest of these, okay, are all gonna be 97 to 02 4-cylinder frames. And if we don't have, there's 2 ways we go with these when people are calling and want a 6-cylinder 97 to 02. One is they buy an 03 to 06 frame, if we have them, which for a while I was getting more of those in. But now I'm out of those as well. So that can't help you. Second option would be to buy a 9702 nice grade 4-cylinder frame and move the motor mounts. And that is definitely what most people are having to do right now if you're wanting a frame in a timely manner and a clean one. Okay? You don't save much money on the cost on it because they still sell, but you get it quicker. Guys, I gotta go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been great. I'm worn out. It's finally about 100 right now, and I appreciate everything. This has been a long video day for us. Lots of stuff posted, and I probably won't be doing videos for at least a month. I got a trip to Washington coming up and a couple videos I got to edit tonight. But this is our office. Show you this real quick. Super cool and super messy. See what happens in our we just came out of what we call a really busy season. So we'll get a couple months of CJ5, 72, 75. This was a COVID project when it got a little slow. And of course we have a baby, and one on the way. Anyway, 303-666-9020, partsbreakers.com. I appreciate you hanging out with me today. And as you've seen, not just tubs, frames, we have everything down to nuts and bolts. Okay, everything. So give us a holler. And there's the puppies. All right, thank you very much.